Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with a story coming out of the Ric Flair Woo Nation podcast, which honestly in my mind is one of the best wrestling podcasts that there is out there. I mean, honestly, you go down your wrestling podcast, you've got the Wrestling Observer, you've got Cheap Heat, you've got The Law, Bauer and Pollock, you've got MLW, you've got the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. There's a lot of them out there, but honestly, I've really started to listen to the Ric Flair Woo Nation podcast, and I really like the fact that it's like those early Stone Cold Steve Austin podcasts, and I used to do a lot of interviews when it really felt that like Stone Cold Steve Austin was just on the phone with one of his wrestling buddies, and you just basically heard them have a conversation. There is a radio personality that is sort of a co-host of the show that does sort of steer along the conversation with Rick, and the guest sort of gets stuck into a corner, and he points them towards another story that he wants them to tell. But the show comes off really well. If you haven't subscribed to it, I found it through iTunes, and that was the easiest way for me to follow along, just by hitting the subscribe button. But this week, I was really pumped. I believe it downloaded Tuesday morning when I was driving to work. I look at my iPod. Boom, right there, Ric Flair with the guest Hulk Hogan. And Hogan's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I've always sort of, heard the rumors that Rick and Hogan sort of had a beef amongst each other, but the way that they come off on this show is that basically they're borderline best buddies. Ric Flair basically says that Hulk Hogan is one of the three guys in this world that he can call on during a jam, and know that that Hogan's going to be able to get out of him. Basically, every time he's been around Hogan, it equals dollar signs. No matter if it's him getting signed to TNA, if it's them wrestling back in the day in WWF and in WCW, whether if it was the Hulkamania tour, which took place in Australia back like in what year was that? 2009, 2010ish, somewhere around there. But on this show, Hulk Hogan states that he believes that he was removed from the WWE Hall of Fame. He says that basically the ring that he wears on his finger, the WWE Hall of Fame ring, is one of his most charitable possessions in his whole life. That he cherishes this because it means everything that he did in his professional wrestling career stands for something. And honestly, when some people look at the WWE Hall of Fame, it's basically just a ticket to a show before WrestleMania that does honor the traditions of the wrestling's past, that does get them to the point where they've been on to put on so many WrestleManias. And there's no real figure building for a Hall of Fame. I mean, you can't really go to somewhere and walk around and look at all the memorabilia and all the plaques of all the Hall of Fame wrestlers like you can with the baseball, basketball Hall of Fame, or the boxing Hall of Fame, or the football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. It's just sort of like a name registry on Wikipedia or on WWE's website. There's no real thing behind it. And I haven't really gone to WWE.com in a while. I've heard rumors, I've read stories basically saying that if you go to WWE.com and you type in Hulk Hogan, there's more stories that pop up than at one time when basically they just wiped it clean. There was no mentions to it at all. Honestly, what Hulk Hogan did was horrible. It was a very bad thing. And he deserves what he got. And it's good to see that he's showing remorse for what happened to him, by being fired, by losing, the sort of WWE Network sponsorship, by not being on Monday Night Raw, by definitely not being a part of this year's WrestleMania, not having that incoming paycheck to him. But, you can honestly look at the situation and sort of say, at least he's not doing what Jimmy Snuka's going through right now. And even what Snuka did was way years in the past. It's just finally bringing to the light of day about what's going on. Honestly, to me, I've heard when they talk about the WWE Network that it's not wiped clean like it was at one point. So, for some reason, some stuff of Hulk Hogan's was still up on the WWE network. Like when I went to go watch the Roddy Piper documentary, days after he had passed away, for some reason, I don't know if he was in hot water within WWE. If you went to Beyond the Ring, where they keep all of the documentaries, and you went to the year that it came out, you wouldn't be able to find the Roddy Piper documentary. But if you went into the search feature and you typed in Roddy Piper, it would be one of the first things that popped up is watching the Roddy Piper story, and that's one of the best documentaries that's ever came out. But shortly after the Hogan situation went down and he was let go from the company, people said that if you went to the WWE Network, things like his unreleased 2009 DVD, or I don't think Hulk Rules is up there. I'm not 100% sure, but other things, were sort of there. I don't know if it worked the same thing, or if you would have went to the search feature, you would have been able to find it. But definitely, they didn't go wipe, Hulkamania, WrestleMania, all the way through King of the Ring 1993 is still intact on the WWE Network. You can go watch any one of those shows. Definitely Hulk Hogan still wrestles in the main event on all of those shows. But honestly, the talk of the town is that WWE is going to be having a real Hall of Fame sooner than later, and it might be one of the biggest things that takes place WrestleMania 34 weekend if it is hosted in Orlando. Orlando is sort of, it's not the home of WWE, but it would be a great place to have this as people travel to Orlando to go to Disney World and Universal Studios and TNA and everything else that is based out of Orlando as well. It would be a great place to have it. Maybe you don't travel there just to see the WWE Hall of Fame, but it is there, so you stop off and you see it. But if you think about a WWE Hall of Fame, I mean, honestly, you have your grand opening. You have Stone Cold Steve Austin, you have Shawn Michaels, Triple H, John Cena, Bruno Sammartino, a lot of people from that era. Definitely Hulk Hogan will probably be there. Definitely Shawn Michaels will be there for the opening. But, how do you have a WWE Hall of Fame without including Hulk Hogan? I mean, definitely you can think that, without the success of Hulkamania and without the success of Hulk Hogan, maybe somebody, Paul Orndorff, Jimmy Snuka, somebody would have took the torch and would have been able to run with it. But honestly, in my mind, I think that Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan with Hulkamania definitely came together at the right time. Definitely there was other people making moves inside of WWE, Roddy Piper, Cyndi Lauper, lots of people were gaining mainstream success, but I think Hulk Hogan is what put them over the top. And how do you have a WWE Hall of Fame without Hulk Hogan being involved? I don't think there's a magical number, or, there's no answer that you can look up on a book when Hulk Hogan is going to be sort of brought back to WWE. Definitely one thing that I would think that would help out the situation is if Hulk Hogan, maybe didn't close his Twitter, but took some time away from Twitter and wasn't so, prominent being on there. Maybe if on every podcast or every interview he didn't basically beg for WWE to take him back. Just let some time pass. Just let, wounds heal. Definitely a lot of wrestling fans were hurt by the words that he said because they were very hateful and they just don't fit with what Hulk Hogan was in the 80s and the 90s. It doesn't even fit the NWO Hollywood Hogan character. It's just nothing that he stood for. And, he did apologize. But, basically, when you apologize for things, it doesn't make everything all better all at once. But Hulk Hogan is definitely one of the biggest, wrestling stars of all time. And, just because he is this doesn't mean he can get away with whatever he needs to. So let all, wounds heal. And I'm sure there will be Hulk Hogan, very prominent in WWE once again. When you're talking about the history, will he be on Raw? Will he be, a part of WrestleMania? I'm not 100% sure, but we'll have to see. With this story, time will tell the answer.